Good morning, everybody. I'm Richard Stone, your host for today, and first of all, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to attend this webinar where we're going to be talking about how you deliver captivating web apps in days, not weeks or months. So we're going to be talking about rapid application development in the cloud. Hopefully all of you who are attending the webinar today are all feeling the same types of pressures from the business to get new applications written much faster with much more compelling user interfaces. And that's what we're going to be going through today. How, if you're using traditional tools, that process can take up months, whereas if you use Progress Rollbase, you can deliver those same applications in days. Today's session is going to be led by Adam Day, who is Director of Product Marketing for Progress. So he manages both the Rollbase and the Corticon product lines from a marketing point of view in the company. And we're also happy to say that we've been joined by a partner of ours, Phil Smith, who's the Managing Director of Codeless Platforms in the UK. The format of today, let me just go through a few of the housekeeping items here. Your participation, presumably you can hear me, so you don't need the instructions on joining the audio. We will be recording this session. It'll be available on demand shortly after the webinar finishes. And questions, if you have questions, then please submit them via the questions box, which you can see down there on GoToWebinar. With that, I think that's the sort of the formalities out of the way. Just one other thing, we will be running through the questions at the end of the session. Typically, we will not answer questions unless they're immediately relevant to what the speaker is talking about. We'll keep the questions until the end, so please keep those questions coming, and we will have a Q&A session where we'll attempt to answer as many of them as we can. So, without further ado, let me hand over the stage to Adam.
Thank you, Richard. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar regarding Rollbase today. We're going to take a few minutes to step through the application and today's problems. As Richard stated, we're going to get to hear a great story and use case from Codeless Platforms, following a little bit of a demo, and wrap up with a Q&A. So that's our general agenda for today, and we'll keep you right on track. So let's look at today's problems. Business is changing faster than ever due to competitive disruptors, compliance, regulatory changes, strained IT and development resources. All of these items have placed burdens on business to stay relevant, competitive, forcing them to find better ways to iterate or essentially die. So the solution we all search for is the way that how do we keep pace with the industry and the changes that are affecting our businesses and resources internally. And fortunately, we at Progress think we have a solution to that with Rollbase, which is our low-code platform end-to-end development. A low-code platform is one that enables fast application development and delivery with a minimum of hand coding. So the 80-20 rule, if you will, that much of the accelerant data model mapping is point and click, while application extension is often in hand coded. And what this does allows us to change somewhat of the paradigm of the development functionality of enabling better additional resources to actually build the application versus all being dependent on traditional developers. We've fallen to low-code platforms play a key role in bimodal IT, and mode 2 of that design is where systems of innovation come into play, fail fast forward, less governance, ideas are brought to life, and some of those will take hold and transition into a mode 1, becoming a system of record and coming up through governance. But low-code platforms allow us to quickly bring ideas and other projects and challenges to a functional prototype into production in a very fast time. We believe the Rollbase is the fastest and easiest low-code platform to build, deploy, and manage enterprise-class business applications. And one of the things that we say here is not just a descriptor, but the Rollbase platform allows you to build applications, deploy them, and manage them all in one application set, which gives you an end-to-end delivery model. So what if I told you with role-based low-code platform, since I may be new to low-code, could build an application in the same amount of time that it typically takes to define requirements for typical application development? Could build an application by simply creating a data model. So as I create the fields and objects in my application, the screens and logic and data model are actually generated on the fly for me. No longer needed to worry about how to integrate with other applications. As we build applications in Rollbase, REST and SOAP services are dynamically generated off the data model in real time. So as I add a field to the data model, it's immediately available to be used for integrations in such as REST and SOAP. I can make changes and see those effects in real time. There's no need to compile and go through a long iterative process. By making a change when I hit save, those effects are immediately testable and viewable by me, accelerating my iterations to make changes, and we'll see that in the demo in just a few moments. And oftentimes we're sitting around with these great ideas, what ifs, or trying to make our daily lives more efficient, and we could prototype functional ideas in hours. While we may not get it to a commercially viable use case without some intervention, or maybe even a week or a month of work, we could actually get the functionality and presentation and test our theories oftentimes in a matter of hours. Some applications that Rollbase plays a key role in and engages users and enterprise data, where we're consolidating databases across multiple applications. Often CRM is a high use case, loan origination, project management, order management, claims processing. We can take very simple applications, but we can also take large ERP application approaches and build the business logic around those. We have over 200 customers on the platform around the world, and we're going to just step through a couple of these that have some complexities to them. NASBA is based in the States and is the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy, and this monitors certified public accountants in the U.S. to ensure that they stay compliant with audits by state. So each state has different rules to ensure compliance and certification. We built an application for NASBA that is actually a subset of 55 different applications across multiple tenants. We set up each state as their own isolated tenant because of their rules, and a CPA can log into a portal, which is a web presence capability of Rollbase, to externalize data from the internal external, and logic that we've built actually will globally check the status of that CPA, see what states they're certified in, and cross into the multiple tenancies using our APIs, and actually pull back their current status by state and the rules within each state. A nice complicated use case beyond the typical low-code Excel automation process. All Western Mortgage is another one of ours that has fully automated their loan processing system on Rollbase, but took it a step further to completely turn their office paperless, extending the application into running their entire CRM, HR, and ERP. They accelerated development 2 systems in 60 days, and I believe of those 2 systems, the CRM and the HR are what they built and implemented within the 60-day time period based upon their rules and requirements. They run their entire business end-to-end on Rollbase. Jungle Lasers is a application developer of our partner application developer that focuses on municipalities. And the challenge they brought Rollbase into was municipalities being different departments is spread out, and oftentimes they're running on multiple databases. They actually allow citizen-centric apps providing portal access components, allowing citizens to, say, report potholes in the road, street lights that are out, manages permitting for builds, construction, transportation management. So they cross various departments and centralize all of those into role-based database, allowing it to use a common set of data models, removing the unnecessary integration between different systems. So how is using role-based different than traditional development? Traditional development, we define requirements, we find a developer, we go through an iterative process, we take the results, and then we step through that iterative process until we get something we like. And these often take months, at minimum weeks between each iteration in most cases, because of the traditional design methodology. In role-based, we're a little bit different in that as we're building the data model, the application is actually generated for us in real time on a platform where there is no coding. So we generate our application. We can then customize our application. That's integrating external data or other components of data, adding business logic, enhancing the UI to give an engaging presentation. It could be generating a portal for external users to come in, but each time that I do this, I can iteratively test. So we're in a continuous testing model. If I like it, I then deploy to end users. So depending on how this is used for corporate enterprise clients, they may be doing some of these tests in a live environment, so they're updated because there is no deployment, depending on if it's a department or a project app. They can make these changes and basically have them available immediately. In a traditional lifecycle management approach, which we still support in Rollbase, I may have a development instance, but as I'm making those changes, I'm testing constantly, seeing those changes, and at the point that I have a successful acceptance on my side from a development standpoint, I can then deploy that to our user base, either through our marketplace, which we'll discuss in a few moments, or through importing and exporting of the application XML to our production tenant, and then iterate. So while the process itself is very similar, the iterative speed of the process is what low code and the role-based platform bring to bear. Creating applications, we have several ways to create an application, and we'll step through a couple of these in the app in just a moment. But we have a wizard that will guide you through creating basic data models to get started. I can install from a marketplace, which has a lot of we supply several templates and use case templates that you can install to give you a kickstart for your application development. I can bring it in from external data, so we can accept imports from Excel, Access databases, other external databases, so we can actually connect to a external database if you're in our private cloud and actually consume an external database as if it was inside of Rollbase. So what that allows us to do is to modernize applications, which we'll discuss about. I could bring an application set from another Rollbase instance, or we can even import from Salesforce. I could also create, because an application in Rollbase is a set of objects. So if I'm building multiple applications that, say, share the customer database, I don't need to recreate the customer database. I can simply add it to the new application just for ease of organization, and I'm immediately on my way. So with that, let's jump over and take a look at Rollbase. So as a quick lay of the land, when I log into Rollbase, we have a couple UI templates, and this is what we call our modern vertical, where I have the menus on the left. It's a fully responsive and adaptive design, so as I change my screen presentation, it adapts with me down to a form factor level, which we will demonstrate in a moment how we modernize that and modify it. I can also change, so I can see I have multiple applications loaded here. So I have a Travelers app, a Rollbase app that comes with every tenant, which basically gives you some calendar, task management control, as well as the user's loan processing app, employee management. And to switch between these apps, I simply click on them, and it takes me into, and we start out on an introduction page in this application. And I click on employees, and you can see we have a hierarchy table here with the data below. So it's very easy to move between applications within Rollbase. So let's take a look here. I have a CRM app, and I installed the CRM app from our marketplace. So if I go into install applications, this takes us into marketplace where we have our template app. So I installed this template. It takes just a couple seconds, and basically accelerates my development from a CRM. It installs the leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities. So a full starter CRM that I can then tailor to my client, my internal needs. This is also a way for ISVs who are interested in starting businesses or building applications to get a quick start, because you can leverage these and then extend them, again accelerating your time to market and again generating the revenue that drives your business. So taking a quick look at a little bit of the lay here. I am on an accounts view, and I have Microsoft in here, and we have different tab views that I can move around. I can change the columns. I can click on a link and it takes me into their data. I can see I have tabs that are contacts, leads, opportunities. This is one of the highlights of Rollbase. If I don't like this screen or the layout, to simply modify it, I can design this page as an administrator, not an everyday user. And now I'm on the screen design. So if I'm not interested in industry because I know everybody is specific to me, I can simply remove that. But I do need a type of customer in addition to our types here. I can actually create by dragging a new field out to the form where I want, and it could be in any one of these sections. I can add new sections. I can add script components. This is a way that we can actually extend the application using JavaScript, so no proprietary language. We use it just normal JavaScript, and we have a full client-side and server-side APIs available. So it gives you a quick way that you don't have to code everything. These are pre-coded with logic in between them or behind them. So depending on what the item is, we use the field maps and callbacks, so each of these different APIs perform different data. Now this is oftentimes where a JavaScript developer or a web developer sometimes get involved, but once you build a few of these, there are patterns and you get used to them, and you'll find that other people outside of development will often be able to begin using these as they stay consistent in use cases. But I'm going to grab new field, and we'll call this actually a region. So I'm going to create a pick list, but these are the other types that I can quickly add on the fly, and we'll call it region. And we'll give it Europe, North America, South America, and Asia. We're just going to break these into regions that we like. We can sort these alphabetically. I can automatically turn on changes, so if I want audit trail capabilities immediately, it's just click of the button and hit save. It is now, this is upon save here, it has now been added to our APIs, our data model. It's fully usable in reporting, and off we go. So as you can see, it's very easy to add a data element as I find it on the fly, because oftentimes when we define requirements, it's not so much the defining and the building of the first time, it's when we find a change in the iterative process to make this change. If we found this in traditional development, it's going to be typically a minimum of a couple weeks if I'm in a traditional IT environment to get this onto my field. And then we've done it in a matter of minutes, and it's fully functional and available to our users. So let's quickly take a look at how we build this application. If I was to build it from scratch, we installed it from the marketplace, but let's build a very simple application. So I'm going to start with new application, and we have our methods to create, but I'm going to say guide me through it. And we're just going to call this Demo CRM, just so we can see a difference. I can give it a description, but I don't need one right now. Step 2, I'm going to create my object. So I want a customer object and attributes. Attributes are great accelerators for development as well, and they also keep consistency across different or specific types of objects. So, and attributes are nothing more than a collection of functionality that are added when selected. So a customer, I'm going to want a location, which was automatically going to insert several fields: state, city, address, country for me to the object. And let's do contact. And this one is going to be a contact, so it's going to add name, email, title, phone number type field for me immediately. And let's add one more called leads or opportunity. And there's no special attribute to it, so we will just go on to the next. Now, within that, I can add additional fields. So if I need code, account code or customer code, I can simply add it. In the field type, we have basic types here. We also have more after we create that we could add to the system. So this is going to be text, so I can do alphanumeric. Contact, I want to know assistant and birthday, so I can send them an automated email on their birthday. And then we can create relationships. So from a customer, I'm going to have a one-to-one contact or a one-to-many contact. So a customer is going to have many contacts, and they can have many opportunities. I can also create a hierarchy relationship between customers, but this shows our cardinality options. So customers and contacts, many customers to one contact, and opportunities, there's many opportunities to one contact. So now I create submit, and now this is where the magic happens. So upon submission, I have now seen that the application has been created. I can view my application. Rollbase has created all of these CRUD pages for us, as well as other pages such for workflows, mass update, quick create, opportunity list. And in traditional design, you're also going to find that each of these pages typically have to be built individually and all have a time commitment to them. Even if you reuse the template database or template design around it, each of these are several hours. So you can just do the math on what actually gets generated for you as you use the application. So let's take a look at our new application. Our new application has no tabs at the moment. That's interesting. So I'm going to create a new tab, and we're going to pull this and call this customers. And you'll see here, which we will talk about in a minute, that we support multiple languages. And one of our unique things is that at baseline we can actually store different values for each language so that they're not just translated natively, they can actually be modified. I'm going to say this is actually an object-based table. So I'm going to pull in client and hit save. And now I have my customer table, and we can add this new client. And you'll see that it's turned on workflows for us, so we can actually build workflows if we step a client through it. It added the location and address fields for us and the contact information as we built in. And again, even on a new page, I can actually go into the design and modify the design, drag and drop. If I don't really care about state 2, or if I want to pull in a new section, I can pull in a new section and begin putting fields to it. I can also change the columns from 1 to 4 columns, so maybe I want 3 columns and spread this out a little bit more. I could also determine from a mobile perspective what form factors this section applies in, so maybe I hide this when it's on a form or a phone level. So you have a lot of granular control at point and click for even your mobile experience. If I click save, I now have a 3 column in this section and the 2 below. Now that's great that we've created a data model and a tab and we can store the data and act upon it, but here's some of the things in the background that actually now take the functionality into a workable, viable solution. So we have relationships, pages are our views, or interactions. We can actually build templates which have our email and report templates, can be mail merges from Word documents, Excel, PDF, and HTML. I can actually build reports where we have wizards and tabular reports that you can build, but you can also build HTML templates so we can get into very specific invoicing, contract generation, pixel perfect presentations, charts and gauges, workflows, full control over permissions and audit trail. And all of these items are driven through the interface of the object. So as I click a new field, just for an example, while we had the quick list that we could add from the new screen, these are basically that list. I also have other more complex field types I can build in that might be template-based, shared images, file uploads, image uploads, dependent pick lists, version numbers, captchas, and hidden input. If we want to capture the ID or the IP address of the originator, we can do that as well. So there's a lot of functionality that's point and click. The one that's most functional that we'll take just a second to look at are triggers. How do we automate this data that we're now collecting? And we have several types of triggers. There's notifications such as email, and I can't create one until I create a template to send against. Notifications, validation, so maybe I want to validate a record before creation or update. So if I click next, I then have, based upon the trigger type, certain functionality, so I can run a script, JavaScript I can build here to run that validation and determine the timing. So maybe before create, before update, before delete. So you have various types of CRUD applications against that data as well. But let's take so that's the back end, and this is abbreviated to give a flavor of it, but we hope that everybody signs up for a trial after this, which we'll have information on. I'd also like to show you the live preview. Now that we have spent some time applying our application, our business logic, modifying the screens, I now would like to tailor the experience across form factor. So I'm actually going to switch to our travels option to show a different look in UI. Where we had the list view, we now have the ability to do cards and grid views. I can see how this looks across a tablet as it loads. This is what we refer to as live preview. I can actually edit data in here so I can get the full experience. And this, I can switch between our layouts, our traditional. I can also apply a theme, so maybe I want a different color layout. Card templates can be built and assigned here as well, and I can also continue and determine how labels present onto the side. So here, if I want to see what the experience slide is like on a tablet, I can still click the new button, make sure it's the look and feel I like, and if I like it, I can save this layout, and it will now apply it to my application. So that's a quick high-level run-through of Rollbase. And we're going to jump back in just for a couple more minutes of how we differentiate between some of the other low-code platforms in the space. It's fast, easy, model-driven development. The point-and-click 80-20 rule we stick to pretty closely. Depending on the complexity of the app, obviously, we'll determine how much coding is required, but you can certainly do very complex coding in it as well. Data integration using the REST and SOAP. We have a few use cases out there that the clients are consolidating multiple databases from multiple applications using our REST SOAP APIs to either take that data once it's consolidated and send it to a third party, or use it as a reporting engine once it's consolidated in our application. Responsive and adaptive web design so that we can address the look and feel across multiple form factors. For our ISVs and resellers who are looking to build a business on Rollbase, our multi-tenant design is, to our knowledge, fairly unique in the ability that we provide you a full hosting tenant area where out of the box you can have multiple tenants, sandbox tenants, development tenants. They're all isolated instances on the platform that gives you full control over your tenancy. You do not actually have to build tenancy within your application unless it is a subset tenancy that you require in your model. Marketplace, we took a brief look at, and this is where we can see app builders monetizing their apps by putting it into our marketplace, and we're looking for that to build out in the future here very soon. And deployment flexibility. And this is one that very few of our competitors actually have the ability to run on-premise. So you can run on-premise. We can put in our private cloud or public cloud. We can also host and manage it for you and provide high availability and scalability options. So the adaptive integration, be it taking it from a mobile database or other web application and wrapping our integration components around it of REST. So JavaScript is interacting with the data, and then Ajax APIs exist as well. This is an example of that travel app on different form factors where we can visually create that look and feel. With the blueprints that we looked at, this modern template, we actually have releasing essentially what we refer to probably as an SDK to allow you to gain even more granular control over the UI experience in the next release 4.3 coming out. We discussed briefly the hosting flexibility and the pros and cons of each. We also have the managed cloud by Progress Rollbase coming to general availability sometime next year, but we're doing it on a case-by-case basis currently. Some key use cases for Rollbase outside of just pure straight-up development: modernization, taking legacy apps and wrapping triggers and integration around them, bringing them up to a new database model. Automation, taking that static data and actually applying triggers and functionality, business logic around it. Obviously, ISVs and startups is a great way to get from concept to revenue very quickly with a multi-tenant platform, billing, reporting, management, all included. Augmentation for those stretched IT groups. If you need to take Excel sheets and build simple apps or departmental apps, you can do that. And then we've discussed integration in several cases. So that is a very high-level run-through of Rollbase and the functionality that it brings. There's obviously a lot to learn within the platform and extend your concepts and ideas into it and take a place. So what I'd like to do now is turn the floor over to Phil Smith, who is joining us. He's the Managing Director of Colas Platforms, who's a Rollbase partner of ours in the UK. And Phil, if you're online, feel free to jump in.
Hi there, Adam. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you still hear me? I'm sort of playing with this mute button. Is that okay?
Yep, we hear you well.
Hello. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Adam. Yeah. So, good morning, everybody. Thanks for listening to my small deck of slides here. I have to say mine are not quite as polished as the guys at Progress. I've been invited in and done my best to put something together that just illustrates a little bit of positioning for you. So yeah, my name is Philip Smith. I'm the Managing Director of a company called RoleBased Software. You'll see that the name up there says Colas Platforms. That's because we're in the middle of a rebrand, and there's a little bit of context to the Colas Platforms name and brand that I wanted to share with you briefly today. So there's a bit of a story to it, but our current limited name is RoleBased Software. Hopefully some of you might have heard of us. We're an ISV ourselves, been providing business process automation technology since 1997. It's actually under a heading of a product called Task Center. We've got 60 employees here. We primarily sell our technology through channel today, and we have about 250 partners worldwide. The majority of those are in Europe, I have to say, but we are spreading our wings further afield. And there's 6,000 plus businesses using our BPA platform technology Task Center today too. Thanks, Adam. Adam driving the slides for me. Thank you, Adam. Perfect timing. So we had a real need to find an application builder, web-based application builder, or PaaS, for our business. So on point one there, we really sort of scoured the market for business system, both back office and front office business system that would allow us to better manage our business. We have our own very unique methods, pricings, sales techniques, channel enablement that we really needed to be able to have a system that would adhere to that. And we really worked hard to utilize some sort of standard systems, which really was a very difficult endeavor. So some more detail on the next slide of that in a minute, but fundamentally that was our need. We really wanted to find something that a system we could make fit our business rather than the other way around. And our second driver was to also complement our Task Center BPA technology stack. Task Center provides business process automation, operations, if you like, for our customers. But we really needed some technology that would allow us to build web portals and landing pages, and even applications that complemented some of the Task Center capabilities. And there'll be some more on that in just a moment. If you could move on, Adam. Thank you. So we went scouring the market for a PaaS or application builder. Next slide, please, Adam. Thank you. And sorry, a little bit of history. Sorry to reverse back a little bit, but we tried several CRM systems for our in-house needs. I'm not gonna name and shame, but we tried a lot of the mainstream systems, and we really found that customizing them was the bane of our life. We had a developer here for sort of 18 months to 2 years on one mainstream system, and although we achieved much customization, we often went down a T-junction when we found that some of the screens were compiled and we couldn't amend them, so it would have meant completely recreating them, and some of them were very, very complex and made it very, very difficult to achieve customization and very costly. We also tried with another CRM system after that, and even though we evaluated it for a while, we achieved better things with that, but we still found that as the vendor changed their technology and changed their API, it still gave us the same sort of challenges as the previous CRM system. So we really spent about 4 years all in all trying to adapt various CRM systems to fit our business, and in the end it just became an expensive bad habit, if you like. So we really had to go and look at something that was much more flexible. Salesforce was certainly one that we were interested in. We evaluated that heavily, and it did appear to tick most of the boxes. However, cost was a really key point that that we looked at, and it would have cost us a few £100,000 a year eventually to achieve everything that we wanted to achieve, based on their subscription model. So it was simply not within a comfortable budget for us. Thanks, Adam. Next slide, please. So we wanted a system that would allow us to provide an exact fit to our business in respect of CRM and many other facets to our operations. And we worked with several systems that have a similar concept to Rollbase, and landed squarely on Rollbase due to several factors that are there. Its speed, an intuitive development environment, gave us a massive massive boost. We were able to produce applications rapidly, quickly, and we were amazed that within a day or so we would have a really good set of objects within an application up and running and available to add data, and that's been extended and extended. In fact, we've had 2 people working on producing a number of applications, a number of objects within our operations for 18 months or so now, and it's quite a massive system, but it suits our business perfectly, and we're going to show you some of that. Here's a few screenshots later, but we also benefited highly from the extensive REST and SOAP web services API, and we even built a tool within our Task Center BPA product that would communicate with those services. So we've now got a graphical interface into those data integration services, and that serves us really well. There's a really great portals environment that's offered with Rollbase that allows you to extend your application, extend your information out to outside stakeholders, if you like, customers, suppliers, members, whatever you want to consider are the stakeholders, and that there's a really rich environment that really provides an extra level of power and capability in there that we really enjoyed. And probably the last but far from least was a great value for money proposition, and by comparison to if I say Salesforce, because that's our experience, it was considerably better value for money and still offered the same level of power. So it's really a question of why wouldn't we, rather than why would we. Next slide, please, Adam. Yeah, okay, so we've got some customization examples. This is the sort of thing we've achieved with Rollbase. We sort of follow a similar technique to the sort of standard traditional CRM systems out there, where we have a sort of primary object item at the top, and that has relationships in tabs below. And this is sort of customizations that we've put together, very, very simple ones to achieve that. You can see there that it's a well-organized interface, if you like, and that was really, really simple for us to create. I mean, that tab strip there was a few days of work for us, right the way through the whole system. So it's a sort of global design that we put together, and hopefully you'll see it's very clear for us. Next slide, please, Em. Yeah, so that was accounts and contacts and what have you. The previous slide. This is opportunities. It was a similar arrangement. Again, tabs defining associated items to the top level object was our endeavour. Was the sort of clarity that we needed to provide, and so on and so forth. And this is extensible right the way through the system. Next screen, please, Adam. And you can see at the top there's a slightly different design that we took on. So rather than tabs below, when we've got the primary objects within a particular application, this is our administration of our system. We've placed the menu items at the top, or navigation at the top, and this gives us lists of information. So we can start off at a list. We can search. If a record's not there, we can add it, and so on and so forth. So again, really simple flow all the way through the system. Next slide. And we've also achieved something that's an amazing step change for us. So our particular product was always licensed via license keys, and sending out license keys for every single component and every single tool that we wanted to license. But today we're moving to a sort of product usage feedback type model, whereby our 6,000 installations will talk back to Rollbase, this system here and give us feedback information about what's in use, license items that are in use, and that means we can freely allow our customers to use whatever they want in our product. And if they want to keep a particular piece of functionality that they're trialing, then we simply get to know about that, and we can put that on trial automatically. And if they want to keep it, we can automatically generate them an invoice and so on and so forth. So I think the point there is that there's some really sort of powerful capabilities through the APIs, and it's very, very simple for us to customize something that really fits the way our model, our business model and go-to-market model for our product operates and works, and we can really extend that out to the automation that's required for letting our customers know what's on evaluation and what functionality they wish to keep. So it's been a really that particular endeavor itself has been a really great step change for the business, and we're now really getting some great information back from our 6,000 clients about what they're using, what they're doing. It's all very clear to us within our CRM system as to exactly what's going on out there, and how we can better improve our service and help our clients achieve their own aims with our product. Not sure of another screen there, Adam. Is there any more? It might be the end.
No, I think that's the end, Phil. Thank you very much.
Great.
And this is a great illustration of how a partner actually started out as a user and has actually found the values of Rollbase and has decided to explore the ISV options to resell applications into their channel, and it is an exciting evolution of adoption. So we'd like to thank everyone for your time today, and we'd like to open the floor up, maybe hand it back to Richard if we have questions that have come in during the webinar.
Yes, we've had actually quite a few, and Phil, I thank you for your presentation. If you could stay on, because there's a couple of questions for you as well. And just again a reminder, if you have questions, submit them via the questions panel on the GoToWebinar interface on the right there. We are going to be running a series of regional workshops. They're currently scheduled for a number of countries around Europe. Up in the Nordics there, in Finland, Sweden, down in Spain, a number of other countries. Rather than put the list up there, just contact your local Progress account executive, or you can also go onto our website, which is on the next one down there, progress.com/rollbase. That will give you more information on Rollbase itself, and also you'll be able to navigate through to events, and that'll tell you where the regional workshops are. And finally, number one question normally from customers at this point is, so, can I try it for free? And the answer is absolutely yes. A 30-day free trial. Again, if you go to that URL, or just go to progress.com/rollbase, and there'll be a sign-up button there. So we've got a number of questions, and there's been actually quite a few on hosting. Adam and Phil. So let me sort of break this into like 3 blocks here. The first one is more general. Does Rollbase run on Azure and HP Helion? So Adam, answers for that?
Yes, it can. It can be hosted at your discretion. We actually Helion was one of our approved partners, and still currently is, to my knowledge, that can host the infrastructure. And this may open up, I've seen a couple also come through from what's the difference between private, public cloud, and on-premise deployment that I've kind of covered as well, that the public and private, public is we have our version of rollbase.com hosted online, so it's a shared tenancy. You can sign and drive, kind of like similar online platforms. You go sign up and immediately get your account. Where we do the hosting, you have zero infrastructure requirement on your side. The private cloud hosting is where we license you a copy of Rollbase, and you can host it on your internal infrastructure behind a firewall or your version of AWS or Helion, wherever you so desire. And the private managed cloud is where we license you a copy of Rollbase, and we perform the DevOps and hosting for you for a fee. So there are many options to perform the hosting either behind your firewall, in a private area outside of your firewall, or on our public cloud. And any provider should be able to host it as it's a normal Java, Apache, Linux stack.
Great.
Does run on Windows.
Sorry, Adam. That was another question that came up, but I think you just answered it. Can I run it at my SP, my service provider, presumably? And the answer to that is yes. And a definite yes on Azure, a definite yes on Helium. We're actually certified for the HP Helium environment, and we do have a number of customers who are actually running on that. Question for you, Phil, is where is your application hosted?
So yeah, we're on Amazon Ireland, I think it is.
Okay, good, thank you. We had a few, sorry, Phil, did you want to add anything?
No. I mean, it's. I think as Adam says, it operates anywhere. It's a Java application, or you can install Linux, or you can provide a Microsoft operating system. We've tried it on a few. We've been on to Azure as well and tried it there. No issues either way. We just cut a better deal with Amazon than we could get anywhere else really, and we've had previous experiences with good reliability with Amazon. So that's where we plumbed to. That's where we are.
Okay. Question for you on mobile devices, Adam. Do you have to build specifically for a particular mobile device? Well, the question is, do I have to build apps specifically to run on each type of device?
No, using the Rollbase platform, the platform is fully responsive and adaptive, so it will run across all applications as you build it natively. Like the live preview we took a brief look at, you can modify how certain form factors, size areas adjust. If you need to get to a native pixel perfect or want to build natively for offline support and things of that nature, then we would move you into our companion application of Telerik Platform, which is a mobile application that integrates very seamlessly into Rollbase. But in Rollbase applications, it's a fully responsive, so it crosses all size and form factors with no modification.
Okay, so another question on mobile. Are controls available to access phone, tablet features, including the camera?
Currently, not natively to get camera. However, what we do is when we have an image field, you can actually pull from your camera, so you can take the picture with your camera and then upload it into the application. So if you have a headshot that you need for a record, you can actually snap the shot and then pull from your directory. That's something that we'll be looking to expand probably sometime next year as we build more mobile enhanced functionality natively.
Okay. Another question just come in on, can you give me an overview about the difference between public or private cloud or on-premise deployment? So I'm not sure whether the question is, what's the difference between them, or do we matter whether it's deployed on one? But any comments on that, Adam? It sounds like the kind of question we may need to go into a bit more detail later on.
Yeah. The difference, there is no functional difference. It is purely whether it's behind your firewall or on a public cloud hosted by us is the public-private component to that, your infrastructure or Progress infrastructure.
Another question, we've had quite a few questions on security. Is the code secure, i.e. will application get close to a pen test pass?
The application set is secure, and it is obfuscated in a runtime. So the database can also, you can choose fields to be encrypted into the database. The only caveat to that is obviously certain personal identification. You typically will want to encrypt and other bits of data that currently, once you encrypt it, removes you from searches and strings, which is the secure side of it, really, so that anything cannot attempt it. I cannot speak directly to pen test, but we would happy to check with development and get back with you from that side of it.
Okay. Next question is like a bunch of questions all in the same one, but can you give any price ideas? I'm already a partner in Belgium. So the answer is yes. Go for sort of like the standard list pricing. Go to the URL that's on the screen there, progress.com/rollbase. There is a pricing section there, and you'll see the list prices. A partner, you need to talk to your partner account manager, and they will provide you with pricing. Can Rollbase consume secured web service like SAML or it looks like STS, protected SOAP web services?
Yes, I believe it can. That SAML was just added, I believe, in 4.2. I can confirm that, but yes, we can consume those services.
Another question for you, Phil, which came up during your session. How quickly did your developers get up to speed with Rollbase? What was the learning curve?
That's a really good question. We employ them so as they're ready to go. So I think it's more about their sort of backgrounds and what have you. It's so simple to build applications. I mean, I evaluated the system, and without trying to be too critical of myself, I'm certainly not a developer nor a consultant, and my evaluation took about 3 to 4 weeks because I wanted to look at the nuts and bolts. I can build Microsoft Access-based applications if you like. That was what I did when I was at uni. Rollbase was far simpler than that. So the simple answer is it takes no time at all, and the way we employ them so as they have an understanding of JavaScript, which is one of the fundamental pieces to know, so as you can build formula fields and so on and so forth. But as long as the skill set's there to a general extent of understanding objects, relationships, and field types and so on and so forth, and JavaScript, within days they'll be building applications.
Great, thank you. We've had 2 or 3 questions on where can I find more technical details. Again, if you go to the progress.com/rollbase website, we do actually publish the user guide. I should warn you, it's 900+ pages long, so be prepared for a long read. But in there, you'll find everything that you need to install, configure, develop, deploy, manage Rollbase. We've got time probably for 2 more quick questions here. So, Adam, multi-tenancy. Are you true multi-tenant? I.e., we don't have to do special coding tricks, do we?
No, you do not. We are multi-tenant in our nomenclature is a separate, isolated instance of a client's data within the same database. But no, there's nothing you have to build within your application. So you build your application, you post it into Marketplace. A tenant creates an account, so they get their own user. These are logical separations within the database and within the applications that are dedicated to them. They then install apps into their tenancy. So there's no need to even think about tenancy when you're building an application.
Great, thank you. And the final question is about connecting to other data sources. How easy is it to connect to other data sources? So we actually did a webinar yesterday, which has been recorded, on how Rollbase can leverage another product from Progress called DCI, Data Connect. and that is probably one of the most widely used solutions in the market for extracting data from almost any database on the planet. So, and in that webinar, you'll hear a lot more about how we actually extract data. So, listen.
Let me speak to that one real quick. One caveat or expansion onto that is if it is a MySQL, Oracle, or SQL Server database or OpenEdge database, you can actually connect, if you're on a private cloud or managing it yourself, you can actually consume those databases directly into Rollbase without any special connectors. So we can actually wrap Rollbase around an existing Oracle, MySQL, or SQL Server or OpenEdge database today, which would give you the functionality to immediately add read-write capability. Obviously, be careful on the write, but could consume that data from that database and add triggers and reporting and dashboards around that.
Great, thank you, Adam. So thank you everybody for staying on. We really hope you found the webinar informative. You've got all contact information there. Once again, I'd like to thank Phil for joining us from Codeless Platforms. And with that, this concludes the webinar, and I wish you a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.